Hello, guys, and Happy New Year, first of all. Happy 2017. But this video here is just going to be a recap of the preseason of the 2017 season for SFL, which the date is being moved back to April 22nd for the Cobras and Jaguars championship rematch, and then April 23rd, the day after, is going to be the Honey Badgers taking on the Mustangs, which should be interesting. But in this video, we're just going to recap all four teams and see what they've done good and what they've done bad. So basically like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but an aftermath of it. So let's get started with the first team. So the first team we kick off with is the Cobras, and the good that we've seen is that they are very, very athletic, and they are really talented on their feet and pretty fast, and they got their quarterback situation all set, and by that one game, their quarterback, Jake D'Amico, looks like he's going to do really good, and they got a good receiver / tight end, Lance Madeira, and Joe Coelho. Joe Coelho did a great job finding new players and getting rid of players for his team. Okay, so the bad about this team is that they are missing a fourth player, as one of their players left them. So they need a fourth player, and right now they don't have a fourth player. So that's probably going to hurt them, and also they need all their players to show up, because if they don't show up, the team is doomed, and they have to find fill-ins. So that's the problem about this team, is trying to get them all to show up, and the lack of communication to tell them when the game is. Okay, so the next team that's up is the Honey Badgers, and what we've seen that from good out of them is that Sanford, the quarterback, Colin Sanford, utilizes on spreading the football around, and you see all these different types of receivers, or different receivers, making touchdowns and getting big plays out of it, because Sanford spreads the ball around to all his different receivers. And also they have a really, really talented offense, but always seems to sometimes blow games in the end. Okay, so the bad about this team is the lack of defensive effort in playing, or their play defensively, as which they kind of struggled on in the preseason. But when you check the stats, they had the second best defense in the league, behind the surprising Jaguars. But they did give up some big touchdowns on wide open plays and not really covering receivers, or letting them get open, and that's how they lose some games. Okay, so the next team we have is the Jaguars, and what's good about this team is they are developing a chemistry around them. They won both their games that they played without Ryan Gillen, their quarterback, and they lost their one game with him at quarterback, but they did play one of the toughest teams in the SFL. So they are developing chemistry around themselves, and this team is going to be pretty good, maybe a first place or second place team, and could probably be championship bound after seeing the preseason. Hopefully they're thinking of going back to back, and Yeah, but with Ryan Gillen, this team will be pretty stacked, and also getting their new player for speed, DJ Lombardo. Okay, so the bad thing about this team, or what this team just struggles with, is getting penalized. They have been a little bit notorious for trash talking and shoving people down during the games, and that's really what's going to hurt them, because more penalties you can get, that gives the team a more closer shot to getting in the end zone or scoring, and that could really hurt a team. And the last team we have to go over with for this preseason recap is the Mustangs. And the good about the Mustangs is their receiving core is pretty good, as they have Vincent Lancelotti, and who came back into the league and should be pretty good, because he only played one game last year and scored 13 touchdowns in that one game, because it was a smaller field. But who knows? He could have had a lot more in that season. And Braden Fowler, who is a rising star, and Max Holroyd, who went to the championship last year with Colin Sanford, but sadly lost it. And these three can be pretty good, and to help out the team be better and put some points on the board, which really was a struggle for the Mustangs in the preseason. And the bad about this team is that they need a quarterback, as Zach Submergin left them, and now their starter is Vincent Lancelotti, who doesn't really have experience at quarterback. But also they have Nick Anderson, who does have experience, but he has struggled a bit in his debut of the preseason, only putting up 6 points, as the Mustangs only put up 6 points in that game. And that's going to be a rough spot for the Mustangs, as they need a quarterback really badly. And that's probably what they most struggle with so far. Alright, so next we want to show you just two players. One who didn't really meet the expectations of what they could perform at, and the other one who improved most from the 2016 regular season. So the player who didn't really meet the expectations was Ryan Gillen, but probably the reason for that is he only could have made it to one game, and he only threw one touchdown and one interception, so that didn't really meet the expectations for him. But he was playing a really tough team with a pretty good defense, and that could have been the reason why he didn't meet his expectations. And yeah. And the player who mostly improved this preseason from the 2016 regular season was William Hawkins, who had a surprising 6 total touchdowns as a Jaguar. And he kind of struggled last year, only like 2 or 3 touchdowns, but he did start late, and he came out of the gates with a surprising 5 receiving touchdowns and 1 pick 6, and that gives him 6 total touchdowns, and probably nobody saw this coming. He was on the Honey Badgers, and they gave him up, and he just showed them who's boss. So kudos to William Hawkins. He has done a great job for the Jaguars. Alright guys, thank you for watching this Sfl Preseason Recap. Remember to stay tuned for the regular season. This date at the end of the video is wrong, April 15th. It has been moved back a week due to family things. So it'll be April 22nd. This championship rematch will happen, and week 1 will kick off. See right there, it should say 22nd instead of 15th. So remember, stay tuned for this game, and I'm out.